we have another very passionate and charismatic person about to cross the stage. Brody has worked so hard to make a presentation we can all be proud of, and we are excited to see all the progress he's made. I also feel obliged to mention that he's always been the best dressed. Please welcome Brody Stanguitz and his thoughts on Canadian nationalism in the modern day.
If you talk to me long enough, you'll soon come to realize that I feel very disappointed with the current state of things. However, I feel too that I'm not alone in this feeling of despair for our country. However, that hasn't always been the case. When I was much younger, I used to feel a sense of belonging and pride for where I lived. I'd overhear those above me talk about our country in such a positive light, and this inclined me to believe that I was part of a nation that was so vast and prosperous. And despite this rose-tinted upbringing, I still grew up conflicted. And it wasn't too long ago before I decided to look into why I had felt so different. And what I had discovered was a multitude of issues in our country that have not only weakened us, but our national integrity too. Things like our convoluted system of interprovincial trade barriers, to the growing impossibility of reasonably affording a home, to our once beloved healthcare system now growing strained. All this is a product of the last 10 years. And things like the aforementioned got worse in that time frame. But to expand on it further, things like our national debt have nearly doubled, with Canadians feeling overtaxed on a lot of things, and food prices have just skyrocketed way out of control. Many Canadians are feeling very uncertain now about our future. How am I supposed to be proud of our country when this is what I have to look forward to? It's no wonder why so many Canadians, especially in my age demographic, feel so unsatisfied with the current status quo. And it's true, whether we want to recognize it or not, but our federal government has relatively stranded us. Now, you may not agree, but what matters to me isn't foreign aid plans or green carbon energy initiatives. What matters to me is my future, a future where I wouldn't be forced to sacrifice a comfortable living just to afford a home or raise and support a family. Now, after saying all this, you might think that I hate Canada and everything it stands for, but that is far beyond the truth. I love this country and its people, who we are and what we've done. And I can be proud of our identity without really being proud of those who govern or rule us. But what is Canadian identity, though? Is it polar bears, hockey teams, Tim Hortons, or geese? Or is our supposed kind nature that has us strive to be peacekeepers and help others? Now, some of the stereotypes of us may be true, but Canadian identity is more than the sports we enjoy and the actions of our government. It's the people. Now, historically, Canada was primarily a Christian and European nation, and it was that basis that laid the foundations of our society, our institutions, our languages, ideas, cultures, and values, and more. However, to be a Canadian, you don't have to be of a designated cultural or ethnic group. We have opened up more beyond our Eurocentric foundings and given way to the idea that any man or woman from any corner of the globe or part of this country can come here and be one of us, be a Canadian. However, being Canadian does not mean the abandonment of your cultural roots. In fact, I believe that to be one of our greatest strengths. That being our ability to both love this place we call our home, but two, having an understanding and love for where we all come from. Now, it matters not how long your ties to this land are, whether it be thousands of years or just a few. What truly matters is that we love the people in this country. We love the country itself, and we abide by its core values. But what are our core values? Now, this can vary, obviously, but to me, some of our core values would be equal respect for one another, despite our very vast differences. Harboring a love for our nation's accomplishments in history, acknowledging both its good and bad aspects. And two, loving the land that we live on, that is home to some of the most beautiful nature in the world, but also its vast resources, which we have built ourselves on. Being a Canadian, too, is a commitment to justice and equality, and having the willpower to right past wrongs and root out divisions that not only bring others but ourselves down. I say all this because I believe our identity has been watered down to a level of obscurity to weaken us. And it should be made clear that the biggest threats to Canadians in our way of life are not newcomers or foreign nations and their peoples from across the ocean, and it's not even the United States. The biggest threat to our way of life is elements within our own country that actively seek to undermine us. However, with that being said, I don't mean to stir hatred or violence of any means. I merely seek to educate and make those around me aware of the fact that our country is immensely weak. However, we could still come together and push out these negative elements and force back this degradation. It was only when Canadians banded together to fight against overwhelming threats were we able to define ourselves. Our history is filled with many moments where, despite our differences, we were able to come together and secure our future, not only for our nation, but for ourselves, our people. Think back to the War of 1812, where this country was filled with so many different people, and yet despite that, we were all able to come together and fight against a nation trying to conquer us. World War I and II, where we played an integral role in reshaping the future of Europe and the world. Even conflicts here at home, we had to come together to secure a fair and better future. Actions like our reconciliation stuff. Now, we simply cannot let the hardships and sacrifices of the past go to waste. And we surely cannot let the mistakes of the past prevent us from pursuing a better future. When we regain this drive for betterment and come together, we can once again be a nation of pride and strength and have Canada be a nation we'd all love to call our home. Thanks.